Leadership. It's one of my favorite topics. And it so happens that we're talking about leadership as well. And that is talking about the Lagos Leadership Conference. The 20th edition of the conference is in the offing. This time, the focus is on the critical requirement for leaders, which is leading with integrity. Also a favorite topic of mine. Now, the conference will be for both offline and online audiences, expected to attract both local and foreign participants, and it promises to be a major event that will evolve into something significant for the nation and involve both local and international speakers. Leading with integrity, that's the theme of the conference. Let's have conversations this morning about this with three gentlemen joining us here. The Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Shino Joseph. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Femi Amino is the Director of Publicity Mobilization. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
As well as the Director of Corporate Sponsorship, Mr. Ademola Adeniro. Thank you for being here. So let's just say you are the money man. let's start with you, Mr. Joseph.
Thank you very much.
20 years, right? How does it feel?
Oh, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Audience, good morning. I think it's been great. 20 years of LLC. Started 2004 with a humble beginning, just like an idea to bridge the gap, leadership gaps. That is what we all know in Nigeria and across the continent. And it started just as a church program, but over the years, it has evolved. And we've had great minds within Nigeria, outside Nigeria, that have been part of it. And we've had year 2019 was a great year for us, that we focus on Christianorship, how Christian business people should lead. And that's why this is critical for us. We're able to run a boat in Lagos and Port Harcourt. And it was a great. However, the year of COVID came, and the COVID year was also fantastic because we were able to focus on courageous leaders. And because of COVID, we couldn't do it as a physical event. We had to do it in a studio. And we had wonderful people. The governor of Lagos State was there. And since then, we've been having major. Last year was leading with shepherd leadership. And that last year we spoke so much about compassionate leader, leading with empathy and being sacrificial as leaders. So this year, we are summing it up with leading with integrity. You know, integrity is the sum total of a man. If integrity is taken out of a man, the man is nothing. When integrity is taken out of a leader, the leader becomes a beast that is self-centered, greed, and deceit will follow it. So LSC for 20 years, I've seen so many fantastic things. And the 20 year also coincided with our convener's 60th birthday. And he has actually been preaching and leading with integrity. And we believe that today, what is lacking and what is missing in our leadership scope and focus is integrity. And if integrity is there, things will begin to get better. Thank you.
Interesting that you put it that way. But let me ask you, Mr. Amino. So, the leadership quotient is significantly low and a threat, so to speak. So if you put it in some way, some language, why is integrity an issue? to the best of my understanding, it's easy to just tell someone the truth than deceive the person, because you need like 1,000 lies to cover one. I was trying to describe that to my children, which they was, look, one lie. You tell the lie, someone asks you a follow-up question, you lie, and someone asks you a follow-up question. Man, it'll be a very thick cover for that lie, But isn't it easier to just be honest, just tell the truth?
Very interesting question, and thank you for asking that. I think it's a question that has been and will continue to be asked. The reality is it's actually very easy to speak when it comes to leadership. And looking at this topic, leading with integrity, everyone can say. But at the end of the day, what actually matters or what brings about impact is what you do. So it's actually tough. For instance, everyone can be a preacher, but it's not enough to be a preacher, you need to be a doer. So maybe part of why that deficit, that quotient is low, is because it's pervasive. We know about it. We can define it. If you tell someone in the street today, define leadership or leading with integrity, it will answer you very well. But the question is, are you living it? And that's the real question. And taking it from what our CEO said, that's part of the leadership deficit that the convener saw over the years. So you can imagine we've been taking this for the last 20 years or so, but we're still speaking. And coincidentally, this year's topic is being repeated. That's the only topic that is being repeated. We did this some years back as part of the session because it's just very critical. Because today when you look at it, either in the public space, either in the corporate world, or even starting from the home front or people's personal life. For instance, you need to be able to lead yourself to lead others. And how do you lead yourself? You lead with integrity. So which means what you are in the public space is also what you are in the private space. So I think part of what we're trying to do is just to keep pushing this message, just taking a take away from the scripture. It says faith cometh by hearing, and hearing, and the hearing from the word of God. So if they keep hearing this message of integrity, I know if you look at our nation today, it's there. And most importantly, when you look at the coming generation, that's really the message. So it's not enough to just say it, but you need to live it out.
It's actually heartbreaking, because it's one of my things that I shudder at the thought that we are literally killing our future if we let these things continue the way it is. But let me come to you, Mr. Adeniro. Still on this subject of integrity, we will still talk about the money, but still on this subject of integrity. I say this to anyone who cares to listen. The first person you lie to, before you lie to anyone else, the first person you lie to is yourself. And what could be more damaging? It's like just taking a knife and literally stabbing yourself, because when you're lying to yourself, do you think people are aware of that? When they lose integrity, they first of all lost it within before they demonstrate it out.
Thank you for having me. You are very spot on with what you have said, that you need to lie to yourself first before you can lie to others. Why do people lie? Why don't people live a life of integrity, if we may ask? The reason is basically this. People want to appear to be what they are not. Our General Overseer had a great message on integrity. And he said the foundation of lack of integrity, that's the Adeboye, is pride. It's pride. You are not at a particular level. You know you don't have a capacity to deliver something, but you want people to believe that you can deliver it. You have to lie. You lie because you lack foundational values that you are convinced and you are committed to. You can choose two ways of living, is to live character or to live popularity, charisma. That's the personality ethics. You want to appear to be what you are not. But it has been proved over years of research, over 200 years of research in the US, that the character ethics is what wins at the end. You want to have an advantage that you shouldn't have. That is why you violate integrity. But one thing is this, when you violate integrity, sooner or later you will be found out. Sooner or later the consequences will come. When you're a person of integrity, number one is that you build trust. And when you build trust, you build followership. You can, once you know a leader, for example, is a person of integrity, even when he needs to tell you to take sacrifices, difficult things to do, you will be ready to follow him. But when you are not talking to a person of integrity, you have doubt and you disconnect.
So, Mr. Joseph, what are we to expect from this? It's like we have concluded the conference here right now. Okay. Really, what are we to expect? Because I know, I mean, as Mr. Aminu said, this is the first time that a topic is being repeated.
Yeah.
Now, so that means that there is a lot that's yet to be said.
Yeah.
Or that there are circumstances or situations that make people compromise integrity. So how will this conference help to solidify one's integrity?
Okay. The focus on integrity is key for us. And we are looking at it from three perspectives. We are looking at the corporate, we are looking at the public sector, and then we are looking at the church, the spiritual. So we are bringing great minds. From the public sector, we'll be having the chairman of EFCC, Mr. Olukoyede, be speaking on leading with integrity, focus on the public sector. Dr. Darren Awoshika, the former chairperson of the board of Access Bank, will be speaking on the same topic, focusing on the corporate institutions. From the perspective of the corporate institution, how do you actually lead with integrity? And then we have our beloved daddy and pastor, Ayo Adeloye, be crowning it up, looking at leading with integrity from the spiritual angle, speaking to leadership of churches and spiritual, religious organization. So that's what we're looking at, so that we don't just be talking about it from one perspective. You know, I've loved, they've spoken so well about integrity. However, like you said, integrity starts from you. You lie to yourself first before you can lie to others. So to ensure that we nip this in the bud this year, that's why we are bringing these great minds that have gotten to the height of their professional career. And they, you recently saw what the chairman of the EFCC did to one of their officers that misbehaved. Normally, it's hard to see such statement coming from leaders in our society. But that person had to be taken off and investigated, and whatever comes out of it, I pray that it will not just be a talking thing, but it will be followed through, and then there will be a feedback to the society as a whole. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Aminu, so first of all, when is this conference taking place?
It's taking place on Friday. That's July 12th. 12th July, that's where it's taking place at the Civic Center,
okay,
at the main auditorium.
From what time?
From 9 a.m. up to looking at least 3 p.m., depending on how it goes. We've got...
That's what we were going to say until when Mama calls. Well, you know...
I like that.
So, what's the nature that it's going to take? He's just spoken about Mr. Olukoyede coming to make a speech on leading with integrity. What other things are we to expect from the conference?
Okay, you know, being that we're looking at it from 20 years, so we also try to give a picture just for people to see the journey from we started. We're still consistent, because integrity is also about consistency. And then you're having coverage, like he said, we've got the public sector, corporate sector, and the church sector. And I believe it's also going to be a time for people to network and rub minds, because we believe impact happens by those talking, by those connections. And if they take those conversations away from that place and they continue it in their number place. We expect it's going to be a very great event, by the way.
Okay. Is there a need to register?
For sure.
Okay.
There's a need to register, and normally it's actually on our website at LLC Conference, and they can register. And as well, also because we've got limited space based on the venue that we're using this year, it's actually important. It's almost like a first come, first served business.
Okay. So, well, money man. So, if corporate organizations want to sponsor, what's in it for them? It's a talk shop.
Yeah. Corporate organizations, actually we have corporate organizations that have sponsored us over the years. And it's a platform from which they have derived a lot of benefits. Number one is because there are so many participants, it gives them visibility. And also, because of the values of the leadership conference itself, because the leadership, they also associate with the kind of values that we are going to preach, and it rubs off even on their own reputation. But very importantly, too, I think they have come to believe in the message of LLC, the message of good leadership, great leadership. And if that is what they are also pursuing in their own organization, yes, it is the place to be. Over the years, we've had many of them. Over years, many have sponsored up 3, 4, 5 years because they see the benefit in that forum.
I assume that the sponsorship information is also on that website?
Oh, yes.
Mentioned.
And we have sent letters. There have been letters sent to all the sponsors. There's been interactions with them. We've discussed the scope of what they want to do, the scope of some of them even have products which they are able to even project during that program.
Okay. Yes. Well, Mr. Joseph, I have an interest in how young people can learn from this so that we begin to hand the baton of leadership to them over the years.
Okay. Like in year 2020, one of the things that we did was to do what we call unsung leaders. Unsung leaders are individuals that they don't have platform, but they are doing great things. We're able to identify 3 of them then, and actually got awarded and sponsored to do more. We have a copper that was doing great in the north, going from place to place, coming to the west, getting sanitary pads, getting all manners of things, and distributing it over there. We have another lady that was about 3 of them. So what are we doing? We primarily of Redeemed Christian Church of God, but LLC is a foundation that is backed by Bombenebari Foundation. So what you see is that we actually are incorporating the youth into LLC. They are part of it, and they are encouraged to attend and also learn 1 or 2 things. Our beloved brother there, Femi Amino, is also a leader of the youth. He has battalions behind him. So it's not limited to the leaders as we know them, but even the youth are encouraged to attend, to participate, and to learn. So that the baton actually, the baton is not just given, it has to be taken. So we look forward to having them, and they also are invited. And just like he said, the registration is on first come, first serve, and they can follow virtually. Virtually is free to everybody, but where we used to use before, we couldn't use it this year. That has capacity for almost 2,000 people. So we'll have more people following virtually than physically this year. So all the youths will be represented. However, majority of them will follow virtually. So, and they also have so much more to gain, because we look forward to them as a next generational leader. And that leadership does not come by giving. You don't just take it. You have to aspire, and then you have to strive to actually attain that leadership. So it's not piece of mail. Thank you.
So that's one of the things that this conference will do, to position them for that leadership.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Mr. Aminu, I assume that there are other platforms other than the website to get more information about the Lagos Leadership Conference.
Yeah, it's also on all the social media channels, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. So it's almost on all of that. So that's definitely will be options for them to also view and watch, like we said, in terms of the limited audience. But very critically, like I say, a lot of things falls and rises on leadership. I think critically looking at it in that perspective, part of the bid is to ensure that these youths can pick one or two things and derive values, knowing fully well that you cannot give what you don't have. And that's also part of why, if you look at the lineup of speakers, there's really no young one. Not as if we don't have young people, but you need someone that can look and speak. Because these days, if you look at our nations today, NSAS, all of those things were just people trying to rebel and say, look, can we really see what we expect? So we're giving them people that will, this is what to do, and this is how to follow.
Okay. Well, Mr. Adeniro, sometimes, from what I understand, different from what I was when I was growing up, young persons look up to the older ones and all of that. But today, the young people want to listen to themselves. Seem to want to listen to themselves more. So how do we market to them that, look, there is advantage in listening to people who have gone there before?
The way to engage them and for them to listen to us is when they see the kind of results we have achieved. You see, the youth eventually, number one, they copy, children copy. And as you're growing up, you copy your parents, you copy the people around you. And if you look back at yourself, you see maybe your father in you. You see your parents or your closest brothers influencing your life. As leaders, as adults, our life is supposed to be a model that will inspire them. Our life is supposed to be an example that they can follow. Sometimes why they disconnect is actually because of this fundamental lack of integrity. Because you have preached to them honesty. You have preached to them hard work. You have preached to them honesty and all that. But you are behaving differently. The more we disconnect from the fundamental values that will inspire them, the more they will disconnect from us. So the challenge, even for the adults, is for us to live in integrity so that they can follow us. When they see integrity, when they see honesty, when they see values that we preach and we live it, they will even be more encouraged to follow us. If they're not following us, that is the integrity gap that we are getting the feedback on.
But in the event that they don't have such people to follow, and we need them to work in integrity, because not everyone has the opportunity to live in environments. Mr. Aminu is already smiling. Not everyone, people grow up with people who don't have integrity, but we expect them to have that integrity because there is more value in it. How do we achieve that?
No, the point in this in life is that when you have a scripting from your youth and you grow with it, those scripting, they are not cast in stone. Those scripting can be changed. Those scripting can be changed by what you experience, what capacity, new capacity you are exposed to. Everyone can change. There's nobody whose life is cast in stone because you have bad background or background that flawed you, that created some fundamental flaws in your character. It can be changed. But you have to be intentional about it.
Okay.
It's something that you need to aspire to change. And I can tell you there will always be people of integrity. Just as there are people without integrity, there are equally people with integrity
so you
that you
have to choose.
It's now a choice, a personal choice. Everything about life is choice.
Okay. Well, Mr. Aminu, just a quick one. The date again, venue and time.
Civic Center, that's the venue, Friday, 12th of July. From 9 a.m. We're looking forward to receiving booked and registered. And then, of course, it will be streamed on all platforms.
Okay. What are we doing on that day?
Speaking on leading with integrity, and having Dr. Dere Awosika, ex-chairman for Access Bank, Mr. Olukoyede, the EFCC chairman, and then Pastor Aye Adeloye, who's also from the Redeemed Christian Church of God. And of course, the convener himself will also be sharing from experience.
Okay. That's the Chief Operating Officer here.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Shino Joseph is the Chief Operating Officer of the Lagos Leadership Conference. We've also had Mr. Femi Aminu, Director of Publicity Mobilization, as well as Mr. Ademola Adeniro, Director of Corporate Sponsorship. Thank you for being here, gentlemen.
Thank you.
When we return, it's another issue. It's our lifestyle segment, and we're certainly talking about something you need to understand. Stay with us.